There's a massive fleet of UFOs on planet Earth right now. They're mostly hanging around the oceans and the mountains, and they are very ready to disclose themselves to humanity. So we're going to see UFO contact, cosmic contact, and it's part of a massive disclosure campaign. We have got a directive for our realm that says over the next 10 years, everything is going to be disclosed to humanity. And most of you didn't even hear me say everything disclosed to humanity. Most of you heard me say 10 years and stop there as if to go, what is she talking about? I can't do this for another 10 minutes. What does she mean another 10 years? So we're going to have fun together. Get your coffee or your tea and your favorite place to sit in so you're nice and comfy and cozy with me. Let's talk about the trajectory for the next 10 years. Please do me a favor, if and only if you like this channel and like its content, would you please subscribe? It just helps the algorithm, because a lot of you guys that watch are not subscribed to the channel, and always drop a like because, well, it just helps the video get to the eyeballs that need it the most. And if you leave me a comment, I will do my best to answer it, but usually I lie in bed at night and I just page through your beautiful heartfelt comments to me. The UFOs are, well, they're waiting for us. We think, God, we're waiting for disclosure, don't we? We think, when is it going to happen? But what we fail to realize is it's happened multiple times already, but humanity is very prone to ignoring the truth that's being presented to us, not because we're dumb, not because we're bad, and not because we just can't get our shit together, but rather because we've been under a spiritual warfare, the psychological warfare, pretty much for the entirety of our lifetimes. That's part of the nature of living in the false matrix that we've lived in, and we're in the process now of emerging. So the next 10 years is all about restoring us to the truth of who we once were as cosmic beings. Now, let's start with the 10 years. I know you're itching for that one. We have done this multiple times before, where we have sped up time. Look, we can dilate time. We can make time go very slow, but we can also compress heaps of information into a very small package of time. Time is something that we can expand and compress, and that's a fourth dimensional skill, and that's been online for a very, very long time, and we've done it multiple times in the past before, you guys. We have taken 10 minutes and turned it into 10 hours, or it feels that way, and we've done the opposite too. But we've done it on a much bigger scale, multiple times. Ascension, which is the journey from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. If we were to take that footstep by footstep, it would take thousands of years. And I think you know that. I think you can see, look, from where humanity's been to where humanity needs to go, from that 3D to 4D to 5D realm, well, that's a lot of distance. That's a lot of distance, not just to happen in one lifetime, but to happen now. And when I say now, I'm talking about the period that is designated for ascension, which is the period of 2012 to 2045. Ascension, which is the entry into our fifth dimensional light bodies, not just the accessing of 5D information at the level of consciousness, it is the embodiment thereof. That's what ascension is. And you might think, well, God, that's a very long time span. Well, sure, 2012 is long past, but it's not really that long at all when we've been doing this stint in the false matrix for millions of years, and we have been actively working towards ascension for a time span that we can't even calculate anymore. To narrow it down to our lifetime, to narrow it down from the period 2012 to 2045, it's in the blink of an eye, and the eye is blinking right now. So the 10-year period that we've got, we could squash it all up into a year or 6 months, or sure, I guess the opposite is also true. We could also extend it beyond the 10-year period, but that seems highly unlikely. In the same way that I've often said, it's incredibly unlikely, in my estimation, that ascension will happen anywhere in the 2040s. To me, it's going to happen long before then. I've shared this with you before. We've had multiple failed ascension attempts in the past, 2012 being one of them, 2016 another, 2023 another one. So we keep trying until we get it right, and failure is great because it's how we learn. But where we are right now is with a directive that's been passed by the Lightworkers and the Galactics The light workers being the people on planet Earth like you and me who are bringing light into embodiment. We are evolving through accessing higher light codes. We are shifting into a higher frequency. That's what a light worker is. Light is frequency, is truth, is love, is divinity. When we access that, we become one who works with light. Light worker. The light workers on planet Earth are working with the galactics, who are a group of beings, fifth dimensional and beyond, who are overseeing humanity's ascension. I spoke about them in a video, which I will link for you, and I described just a little snippet of how they work for humanity when I explained how they've taken down the external broadcast system of the false matrix. That was important because we couldn't reach the external broadcast system. It was beyond the surface of our planet in a realm that we couldn't access. So to level the playing field, they took down the external broadcast signal, which is why around about 2020, I think it was, there was a massive push to get things like 5G on the planet, on the surface, on the ground level. Because there needed to be a way to replace all of that malevolent control from the external with a equally malevolent control, but now on the surface level. And that was risky for them, being the archons and the architects of the false matrix, but much easier for us because it put our ascension within our reach. It put technologies right in front of our eyes. And that's something we're going to keep seeing. How time after time, we're shown something. So in other words, disclosure has happened multiple times already and we ignore it and we dismiss it. But why? Think of it like this. It's kind of like the truth lands up right there in front of your face and then the Antichrist comes. Who's the Antichrist? The Antichrist is not a person. It's an alignment. Kind of like Christ consciousness. It's an alignment. Jesus was one who held that alignment in his being. You are one capable of doing the same. We are beings who hold the potential to enlighten into Christ consciousness. That's an alignment. Equally, there's an antichristic, antichrist alignment, which is media. Mainstream media is the antichrist that has been, let's put it this way, manipulating our necks. By that I mean turning our focus away. Every time the truth lands in our lap, there is a distraction that says, look over here. There's the truth right in front of you. But then the Antichrist comes in and says, no, look over there and there and there. And it keeps swiveling the necks of humanity so that we don't gain the footing to establish ourselves in the frequency and the resonance of our truth. It keeps us in the frequency and the resonance of outrage and untruth. And therefore in a misalignment. The disclosure that we are on the threshold of is to reveal to us all that was hidden. But this may sound familiar to you. You have to have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. And my darlings, please be prepared because so many people will see and hear and dismiss. So many people are going to see, they're going to hear and go, no, impossible. It's like me saying the following to you. We've been mind controlled. Most people who hear that are going to go, oh, that's insane. I would know if I was mind controlled. Thank you very much. I would be the first person to know if I was mind controlled. These thoughts belong to me. They're my own. I don't have thoughts in here that are inserted. I don't have thoughts in here that are projected from somebody else or coerced. I'm an independent thinker. The majority of people who are mind controlled will say exactly that. And that's why I've always said to ascend requires us to be very humble. We can't be so arrogant as to declare with certainty that every thought we've ever thunk has come from within ourselves. It certainly seems that way. This is spiritual warfare. We were born into the middle of a battle, born onto a battlefield, for our own divinity. And that's really what this boils down to. Are we going to not just defend, but are we going to reclaim our divinity, the right to swivel our neck in the direction that we orientated to, or will we be continued to be operated by the operators and the engineers of the false matrix, proclaiming that to be our own creation? So the disclosure, darlings, it's going to be so many things. The ugly, the good and the bad. The ugly we're kind of braced for though, aren't we? We know, oh, brace yourself. There's going to be stuff with Epstein that's going to come up and it's going to be shocking and it's going to be so much to witness and we're going to have to fussbait. Fussbait is an Afrikaans word. I live in South Africa. A lot of you will know that in Afrikaans, there's many beautiful expressive words, and one of them is fussbait. If something's going really wrong in your life, somebody's going to say to you, pat you on the shoulder and say, fussbait, you're going to get through it. Fussbait means bite fast, like bite down. Grind down on your teeth and just grin and bear it. You're going to get through it. That's fussbait. Hold on, baby. Hold on. So we are in the mindset that says disclosure is going to come and we're going to have to fussbait through it. It's going to be rough. It's going to challenge us. It's going to be tough. Yeah, sure. That is one teeny weeny tiny iota of what disclosure actually is. Disclosure is, along with the bad and the ugly, it's the good that we're not prepared for. I have an online community, and in it every week we ask ourselves the following very powerful, absolutely pertinent, completely important question. It shifts your timeline, it shifts your reality, and the question is, how good can this get? Because we were born to a matrix that said, oh, what's going to go wrong now? What next? Oh, how bad can this get? Essentially. When we shift our focus to how much love can I let in? How much abundance am I capable of saying yes to? How many miracles am I going to allow myself to witness? Because there have been so many times when miracles have walked right past you because either you're not receptive or not worthy or simply in an alignment that is misaligned to your divinity. As we regain our Christic alignment, we begin to draw in that which is our truth. And disclosure includes restoring our natural lifespan, which is 70 years, 80 years, 100 years. That's what we think our lifespans are meant to be. That's a joke. Our true lifespan is 1,000 to 2,000 years. That means me at the ripe old age of 50, I'm a kid. And you, wherever you are, you're a kid. We're all kids in terms of what we're about to evolve into. Imagine the mastery that you will step into over the course of 1,000 to 2,000 years and not drop your body every 70, 80 to 100 years and then have to relearn everything all over again. Part of disclosure is taking our power back, making choices, regaining sovereignty, using discernment, big part of it. But a large part of the disclosure is going to be, I can't play the victim anymore. I can't play small anymore. And as much as you'll say, well, I don't want to be the victim, actually, the victim was incredibly uncomfortably comfortable. We know that about a comfort zone. It's not comfortable at all. But the victim was part of the comfort zone because it meant I'm not wrong. Somebody else is. And that was part of how the false matrix appealed to so many people. It happened at the fall of Atlantis, where we had beings come in and say, you don't want to be wrong. You don't want to fail ascension. We'll come in and do everything for you. Aren't you lucky that we came in to save the day? And those human beings who said, geez, I don't want to bugger this up. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to make a mistake. They said, oh, yes, please. We'll drink the Kool-Aid. And so they did. And ever since then, we've been giving our power away, the power away to our media, power away to the false matrix, power away to victimhood. The opposite of victimhood is personal responsibility. And being personally responsible doesn't mean I'm to blame. It means I'm able to respond. I'm the one who's powerful here. We're also going to come very close to collapse. As the rebirth happens, which happens through disclosure, Remember, not everyone's going to see it, only those who have the eyes to see or the frequency to tune in. As this rises, the emergence of the 5D truth frequency, simultaneous to that, the collapse happens. Simultaneously, the destruction happens. So it's going to look like we're in two realities at the same time almost. One day you're going to have hope, the next day you're going to lose hope. One day it looks like digital ID is an inevitability. The next day it's going to look like, oh, obviously that was never going to happen. So we are quite literally seeing two realities, and it's going to depend on which one we tune into. Part of disclosure is seeing where we were on trajectory for with regards to AI. Haha, darlings. It's not that AI is bad. It's that the AI that was popping up in the collapsing reality versus the AI that's popping up in the emerging 5D reality are two separate and distinct energy fields. The AI that belonged to the collapsing reality was one where we were going to assign our power. Hey, AI, you do everything for me. You do my thinking for me. We were going to outsource everything and truly empower our disempowerment. How crazy does that sound? But did you realize that? That's the only way we can be disempowered. It's not because someone steals our power, it's because we empower or we permission our empowerment. Nothing happens unless we say so. But we've been living in a blind world where we've been imagining that we have no say. And that's part of the con. I'm just one little old person. I can't do anything. I don't have impact. Yes, you are one little old person. It's true. But the one little old person that you are has one massive ripple, and the more aligned to divinity you are, the bigger that ripple becomes, the more potent, the more powerful. There was a man on this planet. His name was Jesus the Christ. He was a being who stepped into Christhood, and that being was one being whose ripple still ripples in the collective today. One little old human being is plenty enough to change the fabric of reality itself. There are many, many light workers on our planet whose names you don't know, whose voices you will never hear. Maybe you're that person listening. There are many light workers who are just resonating, rippling, radiating into the collective. And I thank you for your service, for stabilizing the field so powerfully and so potently. You know, when I put up energy updates, which I do very often, there will be people that go, oh God, am I feeling this, Kerry? I'm wonky and I'm discombobulated and I'm all of the things you describe. But there will always be people who say, I'm none of this, Kerry. I'm cool. I'm centered. I'm not disconnected. I'm just chilled. I'm aligned. And those are the light workers that are just holding stability, which we so desperately and dearly need as we engage with this rebirth and collapse of reality. It is those light workers who may not necessarily be saying a word that speak the loudest. So we are supported. The fleets upon fleets of UFOs are not going to overwhelm us. They're not going to shove something into our face. It's going to be person by person, light in the sky after light in the sky, building kind of like a domino effect that can't be ignored anymore. Irrefutable truth is not the language of disclosure because it's been spoken multiple times and nobody listens. Most people still get their head swiveled by the Antichrist of mainstream media. Most people still fall victim to the spiritual warfare and the mind control that we've been exposed to for eons of time. It's so ingrained, it's so ancestral at this stage. Be obedient to the authorities, etc., etc. It's going to come because truth is an experience. It is a remembrance. Truth cannot be told to you in a way that actually affects you. Truth can only be remembered. And somebody is going to be the trigger of that truth. Maybe this video is that for you. There's a truth trigger. But once it's catalyzed, it settles inside of you. And it awakens inside of you. And that one single seed of truth blossoms into an entire forest inside of you. The illusion has to be repeated and indoctrinated. That's the only way we can believe the lie. But the truth is more, well, I suppose revelation is that word for a reason. It's revealed to you. So the veil that I've spoken about multiple times before, the veil was a illusory frequency net that was put in place by the false matrix. First, it was off-planet, held in place by off-planet technologies. Then, and now still, it's held in place by on-planet technologies. Some people are more affected by it than others, which means the veil is very intact for some people. For others, it's kind of wavy and very thin, and for others, it's not there at all. So this means that we're all at different levels of being able to perceive and receive and discern truth. So you will hear things, medical technologies, medical breakthroughs, technological breakthroughs, spiritual breakthroughs. That's going to be the biggest part of disclosure, is you disclosing your own truth to yourself, regaining your mind and its connection to your higher mind, to your higher faculties. There are so many people out there of the mindset that says, you know what, I'm going to wait for change to happen before I take this seriously. I'm going to wait to see big lights in the sky before I act as if this lifetime matters. In the meantime, I'm just going to be blind and enslaved and get in my car and go to work and pay the bills, and just keep hammering away in comment sections like Kerry K and going, so when is ascension going to happen? Ha, ha, ha. I'm waiting, tick-tock, tick-tock, instead of it's happening inside of me right now, because that's the honest truth. And when you stop waiting for the external, then those UFOs that are hovering around the mountains and the oceans, they're going to stop waiting to reveal themselves to us. And yes, we'll see them privately, many of us, with our own bare eyes. But pretty soon, it's going to become pretty difficult to shift the neck of humanity, and you're going to get the neck muscles that you always needed, not because you're resisting against anything else, but because you're choosing, because you're making choice. Now, I know a question some of you are going to ask is, what do I do if my friends and my family slap, slap, slap? They see the truth in front of them and they still won't believe it. Darlings, there's going to be a lot of people like that. I promise you. There's going to be a lot of people like that. That is where your ripple becomes the next step. The next step is not what's going to be on your screen. The next step is what you're about to ripple out. And that is how we wake up humanity. We wake up humanity by being the awakening. The question you might be wondering is, why, Kerry, why are those UFOs hanging around specifically at the mountains? I'm looking outside my window right now. I'm looking at the mountains. Why specifically the mountains and the oceans? Purely because they give off a lot of energy, and those spacecraft anchor into cosmic radiance. You, when you're aligned to Christ consciousness, to truth, to your nature, you do the same. And pretty soon you're going to find that every time you look up, there's something almost like a fleeting light, kind of like, well, I thought I just saw something, and then you focus on it and you realize, oh, there's nothing there. Don't doubt those feelings, those callings that you have on the inside. Sweethearts, from my heart, all the way to yours. So much love. Feel it, let it in. You are disclosure. Your awakening is what disclosure is. There is nothing on this planet that is going to be able to thwart the truth that is coming, because nothing on the planet can thwart the truth that is emerging from within you. Now, there's two videos that I'm going to leave you with. The one is a little bit about the false matrix. The other one is, well, a bit more about the false matrix, but specifically about the galactics and how they took down the external broadcast signal of the false matrix.